Hello everyone, I am back and I am live once again. And this time I did a bit more show prep, so I am well and truly much more prepared.
Maximum importance. The initiation of a new era. Where it be.
So I'm going to, get stuck into what I was originally planning on doing, which was a sort of a retrospective series looking back on the legacy of Kain, which is a video game series that I grew up with. I didn't play the really early games. I kind of found this sort of around Legacy of Kain Defiance, which features Raziel as the Soul Reaper, and it's really cool. So as you can see, I've got the sort of extra camera set up here to show exactly what I'm doing, and I'm gonna draw some stuff and some things. So Raziel is an interesting character because he's essentially a vampire zombie. Although I would argue that he's more of a vampire leper. I sort of want to get a I'm going to sort of get a basic feel for how he's designed here. So I'm bringing back, I'll just turn up the music just a little bit so there's something interesting going on in the background. Now I am also live on YouTube, but I have set this particular stream to private because I am still not entirely sure if I've actually set everything correctly. When it comes to the title of this particular live stream. Also, since we're sort of like coming into Halloween and everything, kind of makes sense to make more sort of, I guess you could call it gothic material. So interesting tangent about Raziel is in the game he's a vampire, but in like Hebrew folklore and by extension Christian folklore, he's actually an angel, like a guardian angel. Obviously, he's a lesser known one. You've got like, you know, Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Michael and so what happened with Raziel is he lost his jaw along with his wings when Kain came up and attacked him from behind. See, when a vampire is killed by another vampire, that vampire I guess dies in real life. So there's that version of him. But he normally looks like this. Sort of a boxy shaped head. Sort of has that big bandit scarf. And you have these sort of huge glowing eyes. See, I go to a lot of conventions and I've always wanted to do like a proper cosplay, but most of the time I just go to work and make money. So it would be, you know, pretty cool to like one day just go and dress up for a change. even if it's yeah, even if it's only to spend a little while and get some photos taken of me. It's also a great way to sort of go incognito. So their hands are kind of cool looking. Sort of have these like weird talon fingers. Like these sorts of hand designs were like all the rage back in like the 90s and the early 2000s. It's fallen out of fashion a bit since then. And the only characters that I know of that sort of still have like this particular like design is what are they called? The Ninja Turtles. Which I personally think this new version of them is absolutely 100% what this new generation of up and coming fans is really looking for. Like, the interesting thing about the Ninja Turtles is they've been like a thing since I think let me check. First Ninja I remember we had a copy of this actual book 1984. So yeah, the first Ninja Turtles book came out a year after I was born, and I'm 40. So yeah, Ninja Turtles is going to be 40 years old this time next year. And that's honestly given me a new... I didn't realize Legacy of Kain was so cool. Like the old version of it. Reminds me of Diablo. Yeah, this has given me a new idea for an upcoming live stream. 40-something Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so if I'm still doing live streams next year, look out for it, because I intend on kind of really embracing that sort of pure nostalgia. So yeah, honestly, a little bit of show prep goes a long way, and it should be pretty easy for me to. I made him look a little bit stiff. I made his expression a little bit too boring. See, the cool thing about Ninja Turtles is it is a franchise that is very flexible in terms of how each sort of iteration ends up looking. Like, I began sort of losing interest in the Ninja Turtles, and I was sort of like, when they stopped showing that cartoon, I started sort of getting more into, like, you know, Power Rangers and stuff, because that was kind of cool. But I didn't really like Power Rangers all that much. I think because I'd sort of grown up on a steady diet of, like, cartoons and animation as a kid, and live action adaptations of things, particularly in the 1980s, were hit or miss, and usually stuff that was meant for kids was tough to watch. It was just, like, scary. Because a lot of that entertainment was being made by boomers who were themselves, like, you know, the kids of war veterans, you know, people who'd served in World War II and come back with all kinds of scars, both physical and mental. And that kind of trying to reestablish normality and, you know, build a better tomorrow was impressed upon kids growing up in, like, the 1950s. And, you know, those boomers okay. I could draw, like, a Soul Reaver version. I used to think ninja masks were really cool, but they do cover up way too much of your face. Like, I still do think, you know, ninja masks are cool to a certain degree, but Yeah. So Raziel has the Soul Reaver sword. Like these, a lot of the concepts that sort of were popular back in the 2000s, the early 2000s, and like late 90s, were kind of being sort of borrowed and appropriated wholesale from like every sort of video game company. Like, I'm not entirely sure what came first, Raziel or Zeratul, but essentially, um, this particular character design is almost a carbon copy. Like, if you check out Zeratul from StarCraft, which is like a game I have not played in a long time, and I really have no intention of going back to anytime soon. Mostly just because it takes too long. Like, it has a decent enough story mode, but I am not interested whatsoever in multiplayer. But if you look back at StarCraft, and you compare the two characters of Raziel and Zeratul, except for a few minor differences, they look exactly the same. They have like a sort of primitive lightsaber as their sort of weapon of choice. It extends from their hand as like, you know, like a single sort of beam of light. Okay. Gotta keep this stupid phone from falling. So I essentially just use Sketchjam to just talk about stuff. Whilst keeping the skills in working order. Australia is currently going through what's known as a El Nino. Like, our Spanish-speaking population here is pretty small, but I have it on good authority that El Nino just means boy. So what it has to do with weather, I'm not entirely sure, but in this country it just means that the bushfire risk is in some places in the country unacceptably high, because there's a lot of very dry fuel load, and yeah, things can burn very quickly if they're not handled properly. So this cool idea of the laser sword, it's been around forever. So this particular concept has essentially been borrowed from what's it called? Like Star Wars and all that. Hey there, Claude, how's it going? Yeah, so just bringing back the scheduled, or more of a scheduled live stream. Last one was a little bit underprepared, so I'm kind of happy to bring that stuff back. A tiny little bit of show prep. We've got Halloween coming up, so although it's not really celebrated that much in Australia, I want to do some like really cool sort of gothic themed stuff. Do some more tutorials. Oh, excellent. I was thinking of getting a series ready for.
Okay, here's Pharrell Williams.
Sorry. Every time I say seriously, my MacBook thinks that I'm trying to get the attention of the little AI helper. so please excuse that. Oh, excellent. Nice. Have they been pretty reliable, or has there been like a wait? Like definitely I'm pretty close to being able to access like an online store just through my YouTube channel. But because it's not available in Australia yet, like they're sort of road testing it with every other major country. Unfortunately, Australia is very much last on that particular list. Which is pretty normal because, like, you know, our population's pretty small. Like, not as small as New Zealand, but you know. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I do like Bindi and Bob. For Gen Zers, they're or maybe is Bindi a millennial? I'm pretty sure Bob is Gen Z, but yeah. Yeah, like seriously, just how long ago Steve Irwin actually died. Um, it feels like yesterday because you know the internet doesn't forget, and you can easily access a lot of that information. Just you know, usually by saying it too loud, like I just did, and yeah. Saying anything approaching the word Siri will just cause it to misinterpret and fire up. Into a chibi version of him. Oh, he looks so much like his dad. I mean, he doesn't have that same kind of like devil may care charisma that Steve used to have. Like Steve was just sort of like he had that sort of golden retriever level enthusiasm. He'd be like very much, oh my god, you got to check this out, yeah, and yeah, there's something like really refreshing about that because I know people like that, just even in my own family, and but it's rare to find that now because life in this country is pretty expensive. So that kind of boundless energy and enthusiasm is surprisingly hard to come by. I just love the fact that he's called Bob Irwin. I should have made that body too big. And make it smaller. You're absolutely right about that, man. Yeah, it's a funny old world now because now that just everything is so expensive, like all the like money the government paid to let people stay indoors now has to be found again and fast. And like petrol is so expensive now. It's like creeping up on $2.05 a litre. Zoo? Oh, the zoo that the Owen family owns. Yeah, yeah. That's the great thing about Australia as well. Like we've got all this sort of vast empty space that African wildlife is perfectly adapted to. So we've just got like these sort of like these old farms and paddocks and stuff that just have like rhinoceros and zebra and antelope and giraffes just roaming around in like it's like, you know, the savannah. And people just drive past on little golf carts and give them some hay to eat or whatever, and or some trees to munch on. Do you have ever been to Central Park Zoo over in New York? Yeah. That's more for tourists, huh? I think also when you get to a certain age, like if you don't have like a family, going to the zoo if you don't work at the zoo just feels a bit like redundant. Like the last time I went to Taronga Zoo in Sydney, I was just hired to be there. I didn't actually go just to, check up on the animals or anything. But I did go to the Toronto Zoo when I was over in Canada, and that was a lot of fun. I saw my first bald eagle. I was really impressed. But the poor thing looked kind of sad, just sitting by itself on a perch in like an enclosure. I kind of thought, no, that's like the symbol of America. And it just looked like, it needed to be free. Because they're like, they're a kind of osprey. They're sea eagles. So, they like hunt for fish and stuff. But I gotta admit, they do look really cool. I saw one sort of hunting in Vancouver. That was pretty cool. Mind you, this was back in 2018, so it was a while ago. Yeah. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I have no idea. Which bay are you talking about? I get it. Funny. Bagels. I literally thought that you were like asking me like a full on like scientific question, and here I am like, oh, taking it literally. It's like, oh god. Bagels. Yeah, it's such a dad's joke. Love it. I'm looking to do some more comic stuff as well. Yeah, one thing I do like about the character designs from like if this particular game got like remastered or just like remade again with like all the same things, like all the same like old school elements, but they just gave it like that really nice like current year look. It looks so cool. Actually, I'll turn this up, see if you can hear it.
And let the wheel of fate churn again. Use your hatred to read their souls. I can make it possible. Become my soul reaver, my angel of death.
That's Tony J. He died years ago, but he was an old British voice actor, and he just had this natural, like, scary baritone voice that just made for the perfect villain, and it just had like a level of gravitas, and yeah, such a cool voice. He was an old man when he did the voice work for Legacy of Kain, but he still had it. Like, he did a lot of video games towards the end of his life. He did the original Fallout. He played Judge Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was the narrator in the very short-lived Saturday morning hero cartoon Skeleton Warriors. He did a whole bunch of cool stuff. I'm actually working on like some cartoon retrospectives. Just mostly stuff that I grew up with. Like, what's his name? Jim Cummings. He's done so much voice work. He was basically Mr. Disney for a long time there. He did Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Pete from Goof Troop and Mr. Bumpy, and I did heaps. So many voices. Is he still alive? Let me check. Yes, he's still alive. He's old though. He's he's in his 60s now. But yeah, his IMDb page just goes on forever. Oh, what's that other voice actor? He does SpongeBob. Tom Kenny. He's also another like really versatile. Voice actor. Like he first got his start, like doing like stand-up comedy, but like he was never really that good at it. Like I've seen some of his like really early stuff. Like if you go on YouTube and you look up Tom Kenny, who he's made main voice is SpongeBob. He used to do like a lot of stand-up comedy. I don't know if he still does, but yeah, not the funniest material, but like he was able to like incorporate his voice work into some of his stand-up. Like I love digging into history. Oh no, Jim's not going anywhere. He's just sort of, you know, he's still alive. He's still working. Like being a voice actor is sort of one of those jobs you can do for life. Like if you've got a good agent and if you've got like a solid record of being, you know, easy to work with. And I think that's what made Jim like as successful as he's been. Like he's always been like very easy to work with. So I'll give this guy a bit of a rib cage. Like when I first played through this game, if you see down the in the corner here, playing through this game with its like extremely blocky graphics and you know your imagination would fill in a lot of the lack of detail, and it would make the whole experience that much more fun and engaging. Like, I'm not saying that this particular art style didn't suck, but there's something charming about the graphical capabilities of like computer games from back then that have like this sort of janky, timeless quality to them. Like Mario 64. Oh yeah, Cree Summer, yes. Man, she's been around for ages. I remember her back from like her Rugrats days. That's how long ago. I've been hearing her voice. And her voice is so iconic that like you can always tell it's her. Even when she's like, you know, doing like a different accent. Like she can do like a really good British accent. but because her voice is so iconic, you can always go, there she is, and she sounds like this melody to her voice is so beautiful. Like it almost sounds like she's got this sort of raspy, almost smoker's voice. That sort of lends it this wonderful. I'm not sure what the word is. I think it's like cadence, not cadence. Lilt, no. You know what I mean. Like when you hear it, you go, it's such a beautiful sounding voice. Oh yeah, graphical, absolutely. Because there's a lot of super talented voice actors that also can easily do like just sort of standard regular acting as well, but because their voices are so recognizable, they have to go the extra mile to kind of mask their like normal speaking voices when they're doing like sort of in front of the camera work. Yeah, what's that other voice actor's name? He was the voice of Mario and Luigi and Wario and Waluigi, and basically he was Mr. Nintendo. Like he did like all the voices of I think all the male characters in like the Mario universe since like Mario had a voice. Like he did the Wahoo and you know It's a Me Mario. Hang on, what's his name? Mario voice actor. Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet. Yeah. His his legacy is absolutely secured. Like technically speaking, he was set for life when he recorded like the original voice lines for Mario way back when he first did it. Because capturing that voice has been like his signature calling card ever since. I haven't seen the Mario movie, but it does look pretty cool. Because the Mario movie that I grew up with is vastly different. Like Bob Hoskins, Dennis Hopper, and what's his name? Mario movie 1993. Super Mario Brothers, also known as Super Mario Brothers, the movie, is a 1993 fantasy adventure film based on Nintendo's Super Mario video game series, the first feature-length live-action film based on a video game. It was directed by the husband and wife team of Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, written by Parker Bennett, Terry Runty, and Ed Solomon, and distributed by Buena Vista Pictures through Hollywood Pictures. It stars Mario, who's played by Bob Hoskins, and John Leguizamo, who played Luigi. yeah. John Leguizamo. I don't know what they were thinking when they made that movie. It's since become like this cult classic. But I remember watching it as a kid and not understanding really anything that I was looking at, because I'm thinking there is stuff here that is Mario-ish related, but it's not. I would never consider it like, an accurate depiction of what I envisioned the world of Mario and how he would inhabit it. I mean, all the raw material was there, and it did look decent enough. Like, the fact that Dennis Hopper played King Koopa, he was only ever known as King Koopa back then. He wasn't really known as Bowser. This is like way back in the 90s, in the early 90s, that is. And, the only other sort of media depiction we had of the Mario Brothers series was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And even then, Bowser was just known as King Koopa. And he still is to this day, but he's more commonly known as Bowser now. But in the live action movie, Dennis Hopper basically played him like Donald Trump. Like if you look it up, yeah, if you've seen it, that is, yeah, it's just crazy. Like, he's got this weird slick back sort of reptilian blonde hair. He always wears a business suit. Um, he's funny and sarcastic, and he's an absolute boss, like a terrible boss. And yeah, that particular character is like, and this was back when Trump's was sort of like a rising star in terms of being a celebrity. Like, he had no like real political ambitions back then that I knew about. He was just more of a like this eccentric billionaire. Property developer. And because he was so brash and in your face and like doing interviews and all that, I guess the people that made that first Super Mario movie just figured they'd just cast him as the bad guy in it. But it was such an abstract and metaphorical, like, way of telling a story about like a couple of plumbers that rescue a princess. Like, even hardcore gamers back then must have just been scratching their heads wondering what the hell they were watching. I was only about, how old was I? I was about 9 or 10 when that movie came out, and it was a weird moment for me, because this was like the first experience I'd ever really had of like me being aware that a movie about something that I would normally love being terrible. Did you end up seeing the Mario Brothers movie yourself? Oh, it's getting late. Oh, you saw it for free. Excellent. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to watching it myself. Like, I've heard only good things, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't really have... Oh, I guess I do now. I'm sort of in this sort of weird, like, no man's land that I usually experience before the Christmas rush, because I get like a lot of people booking me to draw live at parties and stuff, for a lot of corporate things. So kind of the months leading up to Christmas are the quiet months for me. Oh, do they seriously stream the movie on TikTok for free? That's crazy, man. I haven't used TikTok pretty much all year. Like I went back to my old, my first account and checked it out, and I discovered that like all the cool stuff that I'd uploaded had, I was like, oh, this goes against our terms of service or whatever. I'm just like, fine, I guess I won't use this ever again. And I was never like that much of an avid fan of TikTok to begin with. Like I just, all I did was just like post like fun little mashup videos. Like I find something that The Simpsons made like a parody of, and I do like a side by side comparison. So like, here's for instance the crash of the Hindenburg blimp, and here's the episode of The Simpsons where Bart gets like opens a bank account. He gets like this a book of checks that's basically a flip book animation of the Hindenburg disaster, and like it's kind of interesting as it is. I guess vaguely poor taste. I mean, it happened in like the 1930s, so I guess when the Simpsons writers made the joke, I guess they assumed there was sort of like enough of a buffer between the 1930s and the 1990s to kind of make light of that situation. But you never know, who's still alive and who's still affected by certain things. So you kind of got to tread carefully these days. A bit more than usual. Yeah, that's ace, man. Like, because usually, like, when you see stuff like that, it gets flagged and banned and all kinds of stuff. So is it the whole movie in broken up into like 3-minute TikTok videos, or how does it work? Because like I'm I'm not prepared to actually jump on TikTok right now as I'm finishing up this drawing, just to watch it. But yeah, it's fascinating though. Yeah, I saw the trailer, like with what's his name, Jack Black, singing the Peaches song. I thought that was pretty cute. So yeah, I actually should take some notes. Because I want to be able to go back and this thing is I actually keep this chunky old notebook because part of me doesn't completely trust technology because I got a new phone and the volume control stopped working out of the blue, and I thought there was something wrong with the volume keys until I realized that my old phone, which I had to switch back to when I got the new phone repaired, had this sort of bug in it. All right, yeah, it sounds like yeah, it's probably worth it that I save my money on that one, because I mean that's the thing. Like everyone is just trying to either get like vanity metrics or money, which is fine, but at the same time, it's like it just feels so cynical, you know. Yep. Yeah, I'm in the process of looking for a new place to move to next year. As yeah, the family just keeps growing, so I have to go where the money is. Oh, really? Huh. I would have thought the absolute opposite, but yeah, I've heard only like mixed reviews about Barbie. Like you've got either people just like crazy about it, or you got people that think it's just a like subterfuge and propaganda, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure it's just a movie about a doll that is like a person, and it's just clever and fun and interesting. Because that's the thing, like I've always I've never what's it called, gotten too heavy into the political sides of watching movies. Like I find that part of it interesting, but not interesting enough to, you know, sort of snap me out of the experience of watching the movie. like I watch movies not just for enjoyment though. I also like I like honestly looking for Easter eggs, little references and little clues and things that the filmmakers have deliberately put into either the background or costumes that the actors are wearing or even lines that they've said, and just like going, oh wow, I recognize that. That's always fun. So I might end up. This is sort of a basic prototype for this one, so I might end up going back and reworking this pose in a future live stream. I've taken such a long break from doing this that I'm sort of in the process of just rebuilding now. Oh, wrong pen. Yeah. Speaking of movies, there's a new Nicolas Cage movie that's just come out, or it's on soon to be released, called Dream something. Oh right, yeah. I figured there'd there'd be all kinds of cool little nods and stuff to past things from the Barbie universe. Although I never grew up around anybody who was like super into Barbies. Like even my sister never was very much of a doll person. What am I looking for? Sorry about that. I've completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I want to do like kind of a review, sort of watch party of that. And I also want to get back into like owning these on like DVD. Haven't bought DVDs in the better part of about 15 years. Due in large part to the fact that I've got nothing really to play DVDs on. But, when I set up my new studio, I'll get all that fixed and ready to go. Super Mario Odyssey. What's that? Is that one of the games? I sound like such an out of touch Old fuddy-duddy. It's like, really? What is this you speak of, young man? No, it's not that. I just didn't really. I never grew up with Nintendo as a kid. There was always like, you know, that one kid in my class or in my brother's class whose parents had gone through like a divorce when they were young, and in order to sort of like win and curry favor, they would sort of try to outdo the other parent with like how cool the whatever they'd buy as a birthday or Christmas present. That was the interesting thing about like the unspoken rules of divorce in the 80s and 90s. Like parents would just get into this sort of strange like popularity contest. My phone keeps going off. Yeah, I'll definitely check that one out. Like the cool thing about a lot of those classic games, especially the ones that I played when I was a kid, they're all now free, which just seriously blows my mind. Like I bought a secondhand Switch from EB Games a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and I just thought, you know what? I've never owned a Nintendo in my life, so let's see what this thing is about. And it only cost me $125. It's pretty cheap. And yeah, like all those games from the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo, you can just play. And like obviously I could have just found an emulator online and just played them there, but yeah, it was just, man. It felt like I'd sort of come full circle, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm definitely going to finesse this later on in the week. The old phone keeps buzzing. I'm just throwing a basic background. Let's see what parts of this still need to be filled in. Yeah, because I think what's happening right now when it comes to video game movies and other franchise movies like Barbie and that is I would go out on a limb and say, now that the video game movie and the sort of spin-off franchise movie idea has been perfected and refined, that will be the next sort of big, like, random genre. Because the thing about superhero movies is there's just so much content out there, and it's very difficult to keep up with all of it. Especially if you're like me, who I'm a fan of that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I'm just like, it feels like I'm getting like more and more homework assignments. It's like, this won't make sense unless you watch the TV show or, you know, read the accompanying graphic novel. But you don't have to read the graphic novel, but it helps if you do know it back to front. Actually, if you've seen the animated series that sort of came out in, like, you know, the early 2010s or whatever, and I'm just like, far out. I do not have the bandwidth to learn about a whole brand new universe. Like, I'm good with stuff that I'm already familiar with, which is basically what it's like for everyone, you know. Like, I'd rather learn more about stuff that I already have an interest in than something completely brand new at my age. Because I find that there's actually more to explore with the nostalgic stuff. You know, I just found out like these really cool animation techniques that were used in the James and the Giant Peach movie. Apparently the charging rhinoceros, and that effect was not actually stop motion. It was a live puppet, which is crazy. Like what they did, they had this scale model of the rhino in a tank of water, and they had like the animatronic guys doing the puppeteering of it running and charging. And what they did, they pumped smoke into the puppet, and it would come out through like little holes in the puppet's skin, so it looked like it was this monster rhinoceros charging through the clouds. And because of how the water is flowing around it, the smoke would come out like in these cool like ribbons that would give it like this look of a like an old sort of steam-powered locomotive. And I just thought, man, that is so amazing. Like this whole technique was built for a character that has no lines in the movie and only appears for maybe a minute and a half tops, like combined. Like it's used in the nightmare sequences. Okay, well, we are pretty close to done with this one. I'll obviously come back to this project because I want to make this into sort of like an ongoing series, and obviously this live stream will, once I've figured out the bugs in it. It'll be posted on YouTube as well. So yeah, you can check it out there if you don't particularly want to watch it again on Twitch. But yeah, I will call it quits now, and I will be back next week. I'm just gotta take care of a few bits and pieces. But yeah, thanks, Court, once again for tuning in. I do appreciate you keeping me company and talking about cool stuff. And I will see you next time.